So after we recover, what happens? After we recover, what happens? So after we recover, this idea of adaptation occurs. So we place some stress on our body. We are trying to do all the good recovery tools, and the whole point of all that is to adapt and to get better. Otherwise, what's the point of us doing fitness? So basically, no, when you're thinking, what is adaptation? This happens after the recovery aspect. This does not happen in the gym. That's a really, really big thing I want you to remember. Just because you lifted a weight in the gym doesn't mean you will actually get stronger. You need that recovery aspect. So humans adapt very quickly to a lot of given responses, stress-wise, and we're talking about physical demands in this, right? Since we're looking at improving our fitness capabilities. Humans adapt very quickly. Your body adapts to the stress, which is great. But the thing about this is that you're not going to get the same results. You're not going to get the same results. This is why overload and doing progression is very, very important. So after numerous bouts of stress, your body will go through the recovery process, assuming you're doing all those good things that we talked about, like getting good sleep, hydration, protein, carbs, all these things. I have lots of videos on my channel that you can check out that talk about those recovery tools and tips. But after you do those things, your body, it's easier to do, right? You lifted 50 pounds one day, and after your recovery protocol, you notice that, man, 50 pounds is easy, right? Doing curls with whatever weight you're doing, it's easy today. Or maybe you're not as sore. That's another thing that happens with people. They do a novel workout, and they're like, man, I'm feeling really beat up. But after you do that workout or that exercise for a couple weeks, you're probably thinking, oh man, this is not as bad. Not only is it easier, but I'm not as sore. And that's the adaptation. After that recovery, your body's gotten used to it. And that's a great thing because at that point that in some aspect or some form or another, that you have gotten stronger. You have gotten fitter for your own capability level. But this is also why we need a constant change in stimulus. Essentially, the way I want you to think about this is your body is now too efficient at whatever activity you're doing. So if you're thinking about running, for example, and you can now run a 6-minute mile, your body has adapted to the ability to be able to run a 6-minute mile. If you just continually run 6-minute miles, guess what? You're probably never going to run that 5-minute mile because you're never overloading. You've adapted to it, which again is a good thing because you now know that you can handle that. But we need something else. We need a new stimulus, which is where earlier in the podcast when we talked about progression and overload and all those things are all super crucial and important. When we're talking about lifting, let's think about the 50-pound curl, for example, or wherever you're at, whatever you're currently doing. And you're lifting that weight and it becomes easy. Your body is now efficient at that. It's saying, oh, this is a cinch, man. I can do this workout no problem. And that's a great thing because you're stronger, but you've also adapted. So we need to add additional stress and additional workload through overload and progression. So adaptation is great, but we need more. I'll give a really good example of this. I used to work at a senior living community, and one of the ladies that came in, she always liked doing a treadmill. 3 miles per hour of a 20-minute treadmill every single day. That was one of her forms of physical activity. And that's great. I would never steer anyone away from doing that. Actually, that's one of the best hacks if you want to become the fittest version of yourself. Start walking more. 10 to 15 minutes makes a huge difference. Long story short though, she did this every single day. Her body adapted to that. So she actually wasn't getting as much benefit for her overall physical capabilities because she wasn't pushing the boundaries. She wasn't overloading the system. She wasn't trying to get better. And there's something to be said about just maintaining your overall fitness level too. It's not always about getting better. You might get to a point where you're like, I'm okay just being this strong. And that's great. And if that is the case for you, then just roll with it. But don't get it fooled that if you do actually want to get better, you need to apply more overload. You need to stress the system, because without that, there will be no reason for you to adapt. Again, you become so efficient at that given task that it really doesn't matter. So that's adaptation. Super, super crucial. It happens after recovery.